You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded 25th of March 2024.
We were talking in the pub about our favorite Leo bits, and he's like, one that I didn't see get a mention, and then I was like, I can't believe we didn't mention it on this podcast, is, let me pull it up. I pulled up the tweet. So when Leo Vrad... Huh?
We said he was gay.
Yeah. We already said that in there. Weren't you listening?
He kissed a young lad.
Yeah, and he liked it.
I kissed a young lad and I liked it. Katy Perry.
I love when people are like, oh, there's going to be some scandal breaking about him. I'm just not convinced there's a scandal. Maybe I'm going to eat my fucking words in a few days. But like short of like an actual sexual assault, I don't think that there's anything that they could,
Drugs.
that Radker could be,
Drugs.
Drugs, really?
Yeah.
What about I don't know.
You don't think he does drugs?
I think he does, but I think we already know that, so I don't think it would be a scandal.
Did you see the Keir Starmer interview? It really irritated me. And he's like, I don't know who's interviewing him. Some guy called like Harry. Not Harry Hill.
Funny
I know
guy.
you're going to say that, but
I was actually.
The guy goes, have you ever done drugs, And then he's like, let's just say I had a good time in college. And thinking that he was going to get a laugh,
prick.
And the guy's just like, what does that mean? He goes, I just had a good time in college. What sort of good time? And he's like, a good time. I just had a good time in college. What sort of good time though? What does that mean? Like, were you doing drugs? I just had a good time. And he just kept repeating, like, I had a good time. And it was great to see, because he thought he was chummy enough with this guy that they could sort of like say it without saying it, and you get the points without being incriminated. But the guy was actually just like, you're saying to me you've done drugs.
Yeah.
And like, you're not.
And you're the former public prosecutor.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was why he was being so like, no, what are you saying?
Yeah. This
And
can't
just-
be your little gag.
Yeah.
You need to,
Like, you need to explain this. But he just
Yeah.
kept being like, I just had a good time in college. A good time in college. And then all the comments were like, what does the interviewer expect him to say, It's like, the truth.
Yeah.
Or, like, it's not
you really get such an easy time of it.
It's
It's
not
crazy.
unfair to ask him to clarify what he means when he like says he maybe did drugs or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really irritated me.
He said another amazing thing there yesterday or the day before, where he said that there was no more racism in the Labour Party because he got rid of it. It's just like, I don't like. We've said it before on the podcast, but like last week or the week before, Diane Abbott was the victim of a bunch of racism with the party. Okay, and they were talking about how, hey, the Tories are racist because they take money from this guy. And then they go, oh yeah, Labour, the anti-Semites. And they're basically, and then was it even racist what he said? And we reject the comments, but like at the same time, we'll keep taking his money. So they're talking about Diane Abbott. And then she keeps standing up to speak. And then they don't let her speak. Imagine having a conversation about somebody who's had racism directed at them. And you don't actually let them speak about it at all.
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks you're like, no, I actually dealt with the racism. It's like, this is remarkable. It's just insane to me.
Who had a harder time, Diane Abbott or Diana?
Diana Abbott. No,
Yeah,
Diana.
what would that be
Abbott.
like? What would that be like? Actually, don't know what Diane Abbott sounds like.
I don't know what Diane Abbott
She'd
sounds
be
like. I don't
drinking
know what Diana
gin and
sounds
tonic.
like.
She'd be drinking a gin and tonic in the car, in the limo.
Yeah, in the underpass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tweet anyway in question was he's retweeting Barry Ward in 2020 saying some bullshit. Leo. And the tweet is, if you remember this, I can tell you this is going to get a pop. I have a feeling. But now I've said it. Now he's going to deny me the pop. I should have just said it.
No, I remember this being a good one.
If you were white, male, or even worse, middle class, Sinn Féin doesn't want you. So much for an Ireland of equals. Yes, we needed that one in the last one. That was such a good tweet.
That was insane.
Just the yeah. I mean, because remember, I was feeling uncomfortable about having said last week that Varadkar contributed to a toxic, racist environment. Because I was like, oh, that's not really. Was I really fair in saying that he's responsible for the far right that are victimizing, POCs like him as well? Because they did protest outside, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that tweet.
Yeah.
So we got it. One bit, Exhibit A in the. And the other one that I forgot to mention was the cervical check one, where. So I thought that this was like a pretty popular one, but it turns out I had to track down the tweet in question or the bit in question. So obviously people know about the cervical check scandal where they. Obviously. So I won't even bother. Won't even fucking bother. But anyway, the point is that Varadkar... Yeah, okay. They outsourced a bunch of... what? Is it a smear test for cervical cancer? I'm going to sound like a real Dumbo here. Sorry about this, everybody.
Yeah, this is what happens when men have a podcast.
Anyway, they outsourced cancer diagnoses to some fucking group in America, and a bunch of... false negatives came back, and a bunch of women believed that they didn't have cancer when in fact they did, and then the state basically tried to make it so that they weren't liable for this type of stuff.
And who was Minister for Health at the time?
Simon Harris. The thing that was so it was one of those opportunities where Fine Gael were like, absolutely, we'll apologize for this. So in like 2018, 2019, they came out and they're like, oh, we're so sorry that this happened. And then Varadkar said in his speech that no woman would have to go to court. And of course, that turned out not to be true. And then afterwards, he said, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I kind of misspoke. I wasn't sure. I didn't have the full facts. And he just kind of tried to brush it away like that. But then these women obviously started dying. But in this instance, back in, I think it was 2021 or something. So the title of this article in the Irish Independent is "It's Too Late for an Apology as Ruth Morrissey Loses Cancer Battle." Okay, so I took out the relevant section and retweeted it on Celtic Ligers. Follow us at Celtic Ligers, or don't. I don't care. In a statement issued, yeah, why not? In a statement issued through her solicitor, Cian O'Carroll, Mr. Morrissey criticised the broken promise of a Taoiseach who said no other woman impacted by the cervical check scandal would have to go to court. He said, despite the magnitude of the harm caused by her by avoidable errors, his wife was used as a legal test case through the final years and months of her life. Last night, and this is a spokesperson for former Taoiseach Leo Varadkar said in response that the Taoiseach extends his sympathy to the family and friends of Ruth Morrissey in her passing. As Taoiseach, he gave a formal state apology to all women and their families affected by the cervical check crisis in October of 2019. I'm just going to send a spokesperson. It's probably him, but he's going to provide himself some cover in case there's some blowback, okay?
Yeah.
But a spokesperson goes out and says, yeah, sorry that she died, but actually I did apologize, so...
I do remember that. That was...
Just such a hideous thing to say, where it's like, all you have to do is go like, I am sorry for your loss, and that's it. You don't even need to say, I actually already apologized, and actually we did this. It's like, you just take the fucking L with this one.
Like they were all so critical of him I mean, fair. Like Vicky Phelan was the other one.
Yeah.
She was another campaigner. She was affected by the scandal. She died in 21 as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole time they were just like, Harris and Radka aren't doing enough. They're not meeting with us.
Yeah.
Like it was, there's that thing that the church had, and it was called the 3Ds. Dealing with people who were abused, and it was deny, delay, death.
Yeah.
And it was like you deny you did anything, and then
Yeah.
you delay, like, settlement
Yeah.
until the person dies.
Yeah. Well, Radker did a variation on that, which
Yeah.
is admit to it, then delay, then death.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I have a hard time believing that they were waiting for them to die, but maybe they were. I don't know. Had the same effect. Like
Yeah.
these women had
No, I think
very little time left, and they have to spend the rest of their life fighting for
Yeah.
compensation.
Yeah, and like Tony Houlihan was the one who wasn't he? Let me look that up. But it was Tony Houlihan who was basically advising Simon Harris, like, don't even fucking say anything about us being liable because it would cost us too much money. Cervical check. Shouldn't really be talking about shit that I haven't done any research on. So, oh fuck, I don't care.
What?
It's nothing. I won't be able to find it. It'll be the thing that's very frustrating about like we have this podcast
Yeah.
back in 2020 and then 2021, and then we were following the news from week to week, and then we just kind of like amassed all of these stories, and then I've forgotten most of it, but I retain this ambient dislike of certain people. So then when they step down, like, or like Simon Harris steps up, and you're just like, fuck this guy. He did
Yeah.
and then the news is like, I'll fill it in for you. He brought in repeal. He,
Yeah,
you're just like, no, I know that he did something bad. I know that he was responsible for these things. I know that this is, and you just have it. And it's just like, and then if you try to find it, you'll find it like, basically, let's go to Wikipedia, see some of the articles they cited, then find out contemporaneous articles from that time, find the line that you were thinking about and being like, aha. And then it's just like, it doesn't matter because they just control. But I guess like I don't think that the narrative is very successful because there is just this ambient feeling of like people do not like Simon Harris.
Yeah, but I think the reason, obviously people who are informed or affected don't like him because, as I say, the cervical check scandal.
Yeah.
But like, even just looking at him, you don't like him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a lot of people. They're just like, just look at him. He's creepy.
Yeah.
He's
No, I
like-
have to actually now. I have to share this with you. We'll just get this ready. But because you're saying this is a perfect segue. Sorry. But yeah, go on. I cut across you.
Perfect seed.
I'm ruining the flow of the podcast.
There we go.
Yeah,
Creeping
I just felt that
thing.
we had to. Because
So
you were
this
like, oh, is it? Yeah.
Simon Harris doing something.
No, it's his speech. I just don't know if you saw it, but it's so fucking funny because like they keep doing this thing where it's like the Vradkert thing. It's like all the resources that they pumped into Vradkert. When we went back and looked at those
Oh
bits
yeah,
from like
the other
2015,
thing
yeah.
we forgot to talk about with Radker was the Department of Spain.
Oh yeah.
When
I don't. Yeah.
when he became Taoiseach, he set up I don't know what the official term was, but I think it was Department of, or it was like a government communications advisor.
Yeah.
But it was really spin doctor, and it was something like 3.5 million. It was like a lot of money. I don't know why I said that amount of money. But
It was 3.5 million. Oh, okay. I guess it must have been. Why did I say that? Why did I say that? I don't know anything about money.
Yeah, let me. But
no, but you're right because yeah. Sorry, maybe you're going to say
and then there's obviously a big backlash against it because it was so mental. Because there was that time when Fine Gael were like, recession's over. We saw you through the recession. Don't worry about it, you know?
Yeah.
And then everyone was extremely broke. And the housing crisis was properly underway.
Mm.
And then you find out, and Varadkar's just after his, like, welfare cheats us all thing.
Yeah.
And then he's spending, like, loads on spin doctors.
But the other one that I was thinking of is, remember they created the list of all these posters and Blind Boy and At Jurassic Arse were on it. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, what was that about?
I can't remember, but it was like people who were critical of the government. But it was like that typical kind of like, all right, let's get these lists together. Let's target these. Let's avoid these. Let's, basically how they could kind of, it's just spin. It's just spin. It's just like you're saying. It's
Yeah.
He really did lean into that comm stuff, but the early version of Varadkar's spin was like that. Oh my god! Just sorry, the 20 those tweets that we were seeing like for the Daily Edge, where it's like, oh, the Pixies are coming, I can't wait, and then like the radio show, which is just that clip is like. So last week when we talked about Varadkar, we talked about how there was like he hosted a radio show once, like, I'm going to be Leo Varadkar, I'm here with you for the next 2 hours playing music and absolutely no politics. and I listened to like the first clip of it and it was just like, did you listen to it? Did you listen to the thing?
No.
And that was Come With Me Now, performed by Congos, a pretty cool South African band of brothers. Really like that track. Welcome to Late Date. I'm your host tonight, sitting in the presenter's chair. Leo Varadkar is my name. And I'm going to be with you for the next 2 hours. So you're going to hear lots of music, some news, a lot of Irish talent, a few requests, absolutely no politics, and I hope you enjoy it. Next up is Sweet Disposition by Timber Trap.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, I put it out on Twitter. I'm going to drop it here for
Well,
you.
I missed the I listened to the clip. I didn't listen to the whole.
No, I wouldn't listen to I'm not listening to the whole fucking thing. But just that part of him saying, like, what do you go, a South African, a band of brothers, and then coming up next, and then I can't even remember the name of the song because it's just the most forgettable Irish tourist board music ever. And but he had this very carefully curated image that all of then the resources seem to have shifted at some point to go over to Simon Harris to try and make him cute and adorkable, instead of Varadkar.
Yeah. 5 million is what he spent on the strategic communications unit.
That's a lot, man.
I think it's 5 million a year as well.
That's insane. Well, mission accomplished because he's more popular than ever. Fucking insane. I just can't get over how much money they spend given to these fucking gobshites who just can't even accomplish the thing that they're paid to do.
Yeah.
I mean, like it reminds me of Malcolm Tucker on a little known show called The Thick of It. But when he's talking about like he says at one point about Hugh Abbott, and I'm not talking about Diana, but I'm talking about Hugh Abbott.
Yeah.
The first minister who the actor turned out to be a paedophile, so they got rid of him.
Allegedly.
But anyway, the point is, he's...
Did you ever read that interview with him?
On the record.
When he was like, I was researching a role.
It wasn't that he was researching a role.
That's
it's that he said that... Well, what I'd heard is that he did it because he said he was abused as a child, and so he was basically using child pornography as some sort of like coping thing, It's just like, that really doesn't...
I saw
what an angle.
I saw an interview with him and he was like, where I read it, and he was like, I was researching a role, and then the director was like, there is no reason for him. Like, there's no justification there at all.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Very clear.
Yeah, I had to figure out, as an old man, how the dark web works for a role.
Yeah.
And
it was annoying because he was quite good. I liked him.
He was good, yeah. But anyway, Malcolm Tucker says about Hugh Abbott, he's just like...
Look, I can only cook with what I've been given. You know, it's like ready, steady, cook. You give me Hugh Abbott, I'll give you bangers and mash. But if you give me Jerry from the Home Office, well, then I can raise it to a fucking risotto and scallops. You know what I mean?
So it's like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that all of their spokespeople are fucking terrible at their jobs and would not be able to survive on, like, you know, over in the UK if they took up a similar job. But at the same time, they're working with such miserable ingredients that, you know, you kind of have to feel sorry for them in some way.
Yeah. I was
It's
reading
the fucking life they chose.
I was reading that Holly Cairns hired. Let me get him up. For Holly Cairns, like, PR person. He wasn't like a political one. He was like a celebrity one.
Really?
Yeah, what was his name? Yeah, it was just some guy who's like really in. He's more like about like helping, you know, influencers get into Vogue and stuff.
Okay.
PR.
He seems to be doing a better job. I mean, the Soc Dems they've literally increased, like, in polls, they've doubled their support.
Yeah,
so, like,
but that's because
like,
the pizza boxes recycling. It's really important stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Is she the one who brought in that?
No, that was actually a Green Party person in
Are you sure?
Dublin. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But
it spiritually it is a Soc Dem feeling policy, isn't it?
Thank you.
No, it is. I mean, like, it blatantly is. But, and also, I don't know where, this is also lost to time as well, but there was a point where they asked, like, Simon Harris, and he said, at one point, the two parties he was considering joining, he was either going to join Fine Gael or the Soc Dems. Now, I don't know where he said that, because he was a member of Ógra Fianna Fáil.
Yeah.
And then he was a member of Fine Gael since he was about, like, 17 or something.
Yeah.
So
no, he's 37 now.
Yeah, your age.
Yeah, yeah, and he left Fianna Fáil in 2008. So he would have been about 23 when he left Fianna Fáil.
I was watching the news there the other day, and they were kind of giving like a hagiography of him. I know, it was awful. But one of the things they said in it, they go, former journalism student. I was like, that is covering quite, like, that is not, like, let's say if it was Paul Murphy, it'd be like, journalism student dropout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there wouldn't be that kind of like, you know, he
gave it a good shot, you know? Or like, he did 2 of the years. Like, it doesn't matter that he's a dropout, but it does seem like he's quite stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like, he really got run around by the children's hospital. Like, this is one thing that is not getting mentioned. It's like, he is the Taoiseach, and he brought down the
not yet.
Well, in all but name. What's a Taoiseach elect?
I just don't think that they should. They keep. Yeah, sorry.
He brought down the last government.
Yeah.
Because he got run around by the contractors of the children's hospital.
And then I think that wasn't, that was the first motion of confidence that he passed. The second motion of no confidence might have been over cervical check. I believe.
Was it?
I could be wrong.
But anyway, it turned out that he lied to the Dáil.
Yeah.
About the costs and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is mad. And like, it's mad that he just fucks everything up. Do you know what I mean? Like, most expensive hospital in the world, or children's. Is it the most expensive hospital or children's hospital?
God, I don't know.
And then it also has a private wing, which is just so ghoulish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like children.
That's where all the good toys are.
Yeah, like,
Fucking.
I know. Like where all the good surgery is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he lies about it, and then
Yeah.
like so he had 2 motions of confidence against him,
Yeah.
and he passed one, and then
Well, no, there was almost going to be a no confidence motion that was going to be announced in early 2020, and then coincidentally, Varadkar just announces the election because it looked like they were going to lose the support of Fianna Fáil, because Fianna Fáil, I think it was their votes or their abstaining, because they had like confidence and supply agreement, which meant anyway that they wouldn't support a motion of no confidence. So that's how he passed previously. But now you're asking them, like, in the lead up to an election, because it would have, I think there had to be an election that year at some point. So, but it was a snap election because you just called it quickly to try and, shore up their numbers. And then Sinn Féin were polling better because it really looked like Sinn Féin weren't going to do that well given the Euros and the locals.
Yeah.
But then for some reason around winter, everybody was just like, there was one poll I remember that was released that was like Sinn Féin might do well, and then as a result, everyone was like, "Well, fuck it, let's go behind this because fuck these guys." And like everybody was surprised. Mary Lou was surprised. It was like there was like a leaders debate, and it was almost going to go ahead without her. And then they were like, people were like, "No, she has to be on it." Obviously.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, like they were caught unawares. Like there was loads of places where they didn't run people that they probably
Exactly.
Anyway, it's just. So what was the second conference vote?
I'm just looking it up. It just seems to be a general one. Like one is about like hospital.
Just is a complete fuck up, and we don't.
Yeah,
trust.
a spokesperson for Labour leader Brendan Howland told the Irish Examiner, "We haven't ruled anything out. This is a winter trolley crisis, and Cork and Limerick hospitals are particularly bad with no sign of ministerial intervention." So this is from an article in 2019 called "Simon Harris Could Face No Confidence Motion." It's in the Irish Examiner.
Right.
So what is it? The opposition is considering tabling a motion of no confidence against Health Minister Simon Harris early in the new year, a move that could defeat the coalition's paper-thin majority and trigger a snap general election. But anyway,
yeah,
just what we said there. But he is like a quite poor, and he's a complete fuck up. And then, like I say, he was doing the kind of cuddly fella routine, and then they tried to make him they've tried to make him the elder statesman, so I have to play you this if you haven't seen it. But it was one of the funniest things because so they played a bit of it on the news, and then they interviewed Simon Coveney and what's her face afterwards, and Simon Coveney looks like somebody's like just the spirit is just drained out of him. Like he's watched the same speech we have, and he's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like he's like, this is the best that we can fucking do. And it's just like, anyway, he's in for some very funny times ahead as well, because apparently there's going to be some like cabinet reshuffle as well. It's just like, I love that Coveney is like one of the most fucked over members of Fine Gael. And apparently the polls suggest that people either in Fine Gael or like across the country would support Coveney more than they would Harris.
Yeah, what I've heard is that people in Fine Gael support Harris. But people outside Fine Gael support Coveney.
Yeah. And if you're these guys who are so interested in optics and everything, when I heard Coveney speak, and I was like, oh, he doesn't sound like a fucking alien. I know.
But I'm just
and he
so
moves
glad.
like a normal person.
I'm so glad he didn't get it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so in Fine Gael keep electing weird alien fuck-ups and just run themselves into the ground. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I hope after this it's like McEntee, and then I hope after that it's your man who was like, child benefit is a
that would be
a reward for getting sex. Like it should be him. Like just keep drilling down into the freaks. You know,
I said last week on the Leo episode that I thought that they get Harris in there, and he seems like a kind of safe pair of hands, and like just stop the blood, stop the bleeding. We can make this kind of thing. We can go back to repeal. We can go back to marriage equality. We can go back to like, hi, I'm Simon Harris, and here's my top 10 picks for best whatever. I don't know. The usual shit. We can go back, but that's not the way they went with it. When you see this speech, get ready for this. I tell you. Do you want to watch?
Yeah. Also, I'll just say
You
about
have-
repeal.
Yeah.
When he ran in 2011,
Yeah.
it was explicitly anti-abortion. He was like Jack Chambers. He was like, I want to run to prevent any changes to abortion legislation in
That's
this
funny.
country. And then he like at the last minute, and in the like obviously he switched before
Yeah.
that, but like at the last minute during the abortion referendum, starts turning up in the repeal jumpers.
Yeah.
And like, do you remember how horny Twitter got for?
Oh, brother.
Like, it's
yeah.
mad how it works. They were just like,
Yeah.
actually, he's sort of sexy. It's like, no, he
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
like Mr. Burns. Do you know what I mean?
He really managed to burn through that goodwill in a massive way.
Yeah.
I remember, like, he did repeal. Sorry, I said it there. But like, you know, he was involved in it, and he was at Dublin Castle, and everybody was like, he kind of felt like, sure, he's awkward and kind of gangly, but like he's putting in the hours and he's rolled up his sleeves, and it's a new generation for Fine Gael. Da, da, da. And then like the Pope visited, if you remember, and he was like, I for one welcome the Pope visiting, and just did some big spiel about the Pope being great. And then you're just like, fuck me, this guy is, because I remember at the time as well that you know, there was like a Blind Boy tweet where credit where it's due. Simon Harris was talking to me about mental health at Electric Picnic, you know?
It's just like, it was just mad as well, because they were like women's groups who had been working for like 30 years. Like, since the X case. On, you know, securing abortion for Irish people.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, Simon Harris steps up, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's him. He did it." You know,
He
It's
did
like,
it. He fucking did it.
It just would drive you insane.
Oh, bro. So, like, remember last week I speculated that Novara Media would talk about Leo resigning?
Yeah,
And sure enough, they did. And then they were like, well, here's why he had to resign. And then they had to explain what they thought the referendum was. I just could not believe
What were
my
they saying?
fucking ears.
the last
they
two
were like-
referendums, like this, the
The ones that like cost Varadkar his place as leader of the party, where they were going like, they basically just said, "Oh, it was to remove archaic language from the Constitution."
No,
He was like,
wasn't.
"So yeah, I know." And then he goes, "So I was like, don't know why that wouldn't be so well received." But anyway, and then I was like, and then I was losing it. And then the next thing they listened to like his speech as he was resigning, and then he was like, oh, I just thought he was kind of cute. He's kind of nice. I don't know anything about the man's politics. I was like, why are you talking about him?
Yeah.
Then? Why is that going on? And then I was kind of losing it. I was already like typing up a comment. I was like, why didn't you get anybody in who knew what the fuck
Get
they were
us.
talking about? Well, here's what they did. They did get somebody in. They got fucking Daniel Finn in. Okay.
Daniel Finn is the features editor at socialist magazine Jacobin and author of One Man's Terrorist, A Political History of the IRA.
And it was a pre-recorded segment, and Daniel Finn is saying all the things that I was writing out in my fucking comment. And I was like, did you not commit any of that to memory before you went on and called Varadkar cute and wondered why people voted down the referendums? It's like insane to me.
Yeah.
The British left are just like, they are just... Ireland does not exist.
Yeah, they still are British, like, you know what I mean?
I'll show you this one that I just retweeted, which was incredibly
And
funny.
it's funny because Corbyn knew a fair bit about Ireland. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, like
Well-
a lot of the British left, or like the English left, they're English, you know.
Yeah. So here's a tweet from at Rev Blues Susie, and she says it's a picture of London destroyed by a bomb.
Yeah.
And it says, this was London after an IRA bombing in 1993. The government did not react by bombing the shit out of everyone and everything in Ireland because despite being Tories, they were not a bunch of evil psychopaths. Anyway.
I don't get that.
I know it's not comparable to Gaza, but the idea of saying that actually the British state did not respond to any of these attacks by meting out violence against any part of Ireland. It's
sorry, I
like
get
that's
you.
what the whole fucking conflict was about. You know?
Yeah. Who's that? Who said that? Who's
Just some fucking loser over in bed. But somebody was like, the British left. Oh yeah, I sure hope it did.
the before we go on to the speech,
Yeah.
I want to get my grievances out about Harris, and then we can listen to the speech.
Yes, let's do this. Yeah.
The other mad thing is, so he's Minister for Health, and he obviously doesn't
Yeah.
give a fuck about it. And
Yeah.
he was Minister for Health at the time when, because remember, there was a caretaker government. There were 5 months after the election in
Yeah.
2019.
2020 and
22.
21.
And what? No, it was 2019.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 2020. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
And then down in Cork, there was that woman and her child, Vera Toomey, and her child was like had this horrific like genetic disorder and needed medication from Amsterdam, like medical marijuana, and she was looking for assurance that if she travelled under restriction to Amsterdam and came back with the medicine, she wouldn't be, arrested or whatever. And also, like, the government had recently halted some sort of, like, delivery program for this medicine. And she just could not get in contact with Simon Harris,
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the woman was like, my child's regressing, her quality of life is going downhill, she needs this medicine. And Harris was just no use to her whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that, like, so he's a complete fuck up when it comes to the health service. His wife is a nurse.
Yeah.
His wife's a nurse, and Varadkar's boyfriend is a
Doctor.
doctor. Like, how could they show their face and work? Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, my husband's Minister for Health. He hates me.
Well, the nurse thing, yeah,
Yeah.
but the doctor thing, they could very easily do that.
Yeah.
The doctors, like, are 100% like, no, this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, but like the nurses just going in and being like, no, he's happy for me to, have no PPE and just
Yeah.
get fucked over at every turn. Like, says it's good for me,
What was the other one with
And he
when they
has
were about to
Crohn's
go on
disease.
strike?
Apparently, he's
Huh?
Crohn's disease as well. But it's just like he knows,
Yeah.
but he obviously has private health insurance or something. And he's like,
I'm trying to think of like what the strikes. Do you remember where they were threatening to strike, and then he said that he was going to punish them, basically.
yeah. If the
Punish-
nurses went on strike,
Yeah, he says financial penalties
Oh,
against
fuck them up.
striking workers, according to a 2019 article in the Irish Independent. The other one that I forgot, like, I was listening to The Week at Work, which is a very good podcast.
what were they striking
but,
over in that, by the way?
We're going to be scrolling. If it's The Independent, we're going to be fucking scrolling, let me tell you. The nurses' demand for a 12% pay rise that would cost 300 million is a cost increasing claim that would trigger knock-on claims. It's basically just they wanted more money, which they should be entitled to, and especially after this is 2019. But like now that we've lived through COVID, and it's just like the idea that I don't know that anybody could say that nurses don't deserve more money for what they do is quite remarkable, Yeah, the other thing they mentioned on The Week at Work again, like this government has done so many shitty things, including Varadkar, but the Debenhams workers, like that was another thing that happened under Varadkar's watch, where like he just turned a blind eye to it and allowed that shit to happen again. After Cleary's.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So let's listen to this speech by Harris.
His weird voice. Yeah, so that him doing the kind of humble hello, I'm on TikTok,
Yeah.
that works sort of to a degree. He comes off as awkward and lanky, and you could imagine like certain. I remember at the time there was I had an ex who wrote for a ladies mag, like for older ladies, name redacted, but so they asked her, like, can you give us your opinion about what it's like to be like a millennial and, be struggling, for our readers? So she just wrote like, well, the government sucks and here are all the people responsible. And they're like, ooh, well, no, actually, we don't want to get political there. And then a few months later, they wrote an article like, look, Simon Harris and Leo Varadkar leading us through the pandemic. And they were just like super positive and chirpy about them. And but that's not political, you know. But like when Harris, failure as a health minister, COVID comes around, and then all of a sudden he had just like, I'd actually entirely forgotten about it, probably just because Harris is so forgettable. But he was on like a lot of these, you know, kind of cuddly little interviews with people talking about like, what's the one, you know, the meals. Remember there was a thing about that you could have a meal in the restaurant.
It was
but I
a
don't know.
substantial meal. You could
Substantial
sit in a
meal.
restaurant for 90 minutes. And then,
And
during
he's like,
COVID. And then about a year later, he was like, sure, we knew that was stupid when we did it. But
yeah. Like, but they gave him like all these things of like, remember when you were Minister for Health, and gosh, didn't we love him, and wasn't he cute, and you know, the kind of the quoting, he didn't quote Lord of the Rings, but the stuff that Varadkar tried to do, but looked very clumsy, seemed a little more natural with Harris, and then the pair of them were a bit of a, they were, you know, the trio, you know, like Houlihan, Harris, and Varadkar. You know, they were kind of on the news a lot.
Yeah.
And kind of, they got a few little articles in like, MSNBC, or even Pod Save America were talking about Varadkar, and it was like, wish we had this gay Indian doctor instead of this schmuck, which I hate to use the word schmuck, honestly, who aren't, you know, of, like when Irish people use the word like schmuck or like whatever. What am I talking about? He's American.
Excuse
so
me?
I guess it doesn't make sense.
when Irish
They
people...
Pod Save America, you know.
Wait, why don't you like people using the word schmuck? What sort of people?
Like I was associated with like kind of older Jewish men over in the States, and then when like let's say Pat Leahy recently used the word schmuck, I was like, that is so fucking lame.
He actually said chutzpah. This was in his column. Quote, as the EU prepares for war, Ireland sticks its head in the sand. In fairness to us, we really have some neck. There is literally no end to our chutzpah. What a cunt.
And likewise, when one of the Johns out of Pod Save America, he said schmuck, and I was just like, you are not like Mel Brooks. You are not allowed to say schmuck, you know? You know, you gotta have a chutzpah to do this type. You know, just be like fucking weird. Like, don't do that. You know.
Yeah. I want to watch a TikTok. I want to watch Simon Harris's first TikTok. Okay.
Wait. Before, well, maybe we'll do a compare contrast then. Watch the first TikTok.
So this isn't the original. This is RT uploads a video, and the focus of it is Simon Harris's first ever TikTok. I think it's
Okay. All right.
Hey there. Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Hi everybody. Hey everybody. Good morning everybody. I've finally taken the plunge and decided to join TikTok. Not sure I quite know what I've let myself in for yet.
Hey Meg. Mowing the lawn. Wordle.
Oh, the Wordle. Yeah.
Family is
Why are
important.
people dragging his Wordle?
It's dog. It's family.
Some politicians like to sneer at TikTok. I don't. I know it's where you come every day to get information to keep up to date. So I'm going to be here with you.
I guess that must have been during the pandemic.
I'm delighted. I'm delighted. I'm delighted. I'm delighted. Delighted. So hope you're having a good day and talk to you later.
I think that included his first TikTok, but was more of like a compilation. Of something.
Yeah.
He's literally like, "Hello, I'm logging on to TikTok," and like pretty much what you'd expect. He kind of looks like somehow like a student that has been cursed, you know. Like, so his hair is graying. It's like, you know, he looks gaunt. You know. It's amazing how he can have all the worst parts about looking old and young at the same time, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it really is.
Gangly, awkward, uncoordinated, uncomfortable in their own body. Then have like I said this online, but I stand like it was one of the. He looks like if there was a character in a sitcom, and then they set an episode in the future, and then they're like, okay, well, put a bit of talcum powder in the temples, and get a bit of putty and put it under his eyes to make it look like wrinkles, you know.
Like in How I Met Your Mother.
It's exactly like that. The other one that I thought was, I don't know why you think this, but in the Keenan and Kel, where they're, was there an episode where they were in the future and Chris was really old? Am I crazy? Chris Rigby, who owned the store?
I don't know.
Anyway,
Um,
and less said about those Dan Schneider produced shows, the better. Am I right?
I thought they were good.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the scandal that's ongoing about him.
About Rigby.
No, not Rigby. Dan Schneider, who
Oh,
made
yeah.
Keenan and Kel and Drake and Josh.
Man, how the logo for Nickelodeon was a foot. And then loads of the clips were like, oh, your feet are in his face. And then there was one where he was like, hey, why do you send me all your crazy feet pictures? It'd be like if Michael Jackson was in The Simpsons and hung
and
out.
insisted on hanging out with Bart.
Yeah.
Funny that.
Um.
All right, here we go. We're watching Simon Harris. This is the main course, okay?
Yeah.
This delicious main course. This main course and dessert. Imagine if they were both combined in an amazing. Here we go. We're gonna play the clip of his speech. I think it's out of Fine Gael Ardèche or something. You know. Anyway, here we go.
Under my leadership, Fine Gael stands for supporting businesses, especially small businesses, across the length and breadth of this country. Fine Gael stands and will always stand for making work pay, for making sure we value work and we value people who go to work. Fine Gael stands for supporting education and educational pathways, no matter who you are, where you come from, or what your mother or father did before you. We want you to be able to reach your full potential in Ireland. And when we talk about equality of opportunity, one of our core values, we must work every day to make sure it's never a hackneyed old slogan that gets trotted out at elections, but instead that it is a value that we weave through all our work and everything we do. Fine Gael stands for law and order. This is the party that established An Garda Síochána. We stand on the side of the Gardaí. We stand for streets that are safe and crime that is never allowed to go unchecked. And in a week where I saw the tricolour of this republic draped over the coffin of a Garda killer, I say shame. Let's take our flag back.
Yes!
Take it back. Take our flag back.
Let me just get that again. I'm trying to put that back again. Take our flag back.
Let's take our flag back. Take it back.
He
Take our
actually
flag
seems
back.
angry there. Like a rat.
Take it back. And this party stands for supporting the family farm. It stands not for lecturing farmers, but for helping them, for helping farmers to transition, to meet the challenges of both food security and climate change. We believe in regional development. It's essential. And to people in rural Ireland, let me say this to you. We have your back. As a party, we believe that we now must move on from the emergency response to the migration crisis to a more planned and more sustainable model and to a fair and firm system when it comes to migration in this country. Fine Gael will always stand as a proudly pro-European party, and we will always be a party that will work with everybody across this island of Ireland to embed peace
You never do
and
that.
prosperity and to make sure we harness the untapped potential of the all-island economy. We will always support democracy and freedom, and we condemn unreservedly the horrific illegal invasion of Ukraine by Putin, and we stand by Ukraine always.
We will Palestine.
This party has, and under my leadership will remain, a party that is unafraid to speak the truth to power about the humanitarian catastrophe we are witnessing in Gaza.
Hey, all
So
right.
you
and to
are-
voice in no
you are
uncertain
the power.
terms
Yeah.
the moral outrage
And you
of
hate
the
when
Irish
people
people.
speak.
I repeat my calls today for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the immediate unconditional release of all hostages, an end to violence in the Middle East, and a political process to bring about a two-state solution. Let Ireland be a force in the globe for that.
Oh, to an end of
I know the value of
violence in
hard
the
work.
Middle East.
I feel the desperate need for hope right across
Is there any
every
housing
part of this
coming up at
country.
all?
And I promise to you today, to you the Fine Gael party, and to you the people of Ireland, I will do my damnedest for the good of the party and, more importantly, for the good of Ireland. I'm up for it. Are you? I'm ready. Are you? I thank you again for your trust, Ger. Mille Mágaibh.
This is like some bad, like a comedy open mic. Like,
Yeah,
all right, you want to
that
get on
really-
stage for the first act? Are you ready? I got to take that again. I don't think you're ready enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. Anyway,
Yeah. That was painful. That was really painful. Like, it's
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a fuck about the flag? Do you know, like, who
Fucking
like
flag.
who gives a fuck? Like, he's just like, some lad kills a guard and then there's a flag over him. It's like, that's
Well, apparently some provo was being buried last week, and then they put a flag over his coffin. I was like, I don't know who the fuck this is.
yeah,
I
but
don't
you're
really give
allowed
a shit.
to do that. Like, you're allowed to do
Yeah,
that.
you
Do
are.
you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, I don't know, it's just what's one of the things you don't have any control over. It's like, what?
I know.
And it also doesn't really matter, you know?
Yeah. You have to be you have to be like mad racist or mad boring to give a shit about the flag.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen.
It's mad that you didn't even mention housing. Like, he's just
No.
given up on that one. Didn't
No, we're
mention
not doing that.
the health service.
No, God, no. Oh, no.
Didn't mention. I did mention education. In a
Yeah.
pretty perfunctory way. It's such bullshit to be like, we stand with farmers. It's like, you haven't any interest in doing that.
No.
Um,
Can I say I feel like I'm being gaslit as well? Because everybody now, I've on the news and all these guys are at Fine Gael. It's like, I've never heard, like I've heard people say it, but it's like, oh, that's weird. I guess that's how that guy pronounces it.
yeah.
But everybody is saying Fine Gael. What the fuck is it?
Yeah, it sounds like people go like widow willy. You know that sort of
What?
thing? You know when someone goes like, they have that thing where they go like widow willy. Instead of
Widow Willy?
literally.
You sound like somebody who's got a lisp.
Yeah, some fucked up thing. Someone's like, widow whale.
I thought like if I was them, I would be like,
Also,
what we need to do is look a little bit more gentle and caring. And also it'd be like kind of getting somebody to like sing within their range, So like Simon Harris going up there and just being like, look, we taken a battering and we hear you, we see you, we're responding, we're going to do something different, blah, blah, blah. But instead he's up there going like, we take our flag back. It's like, the word sounds so wrong in your mouth, You can't hit that register, Like,
I know. What else did he say? Oh yeah, we're the party that started the guards. I love his face. That has to be you see the bit where he's giving out about the guy killed the guard? That has to be
Yeah.
not to give you direction, but that has to be the thumbnail. Just to like, skip forward like a second.
all right, let's see. He's so bad at being angry, isn't he?
Yeah, there's a bit where he zooms in on his face and he's like,
These guys are like, they have to be like, we need you to be passionate. And he's like,
there.
That's so fucking good. That's so stupid.
But like, he's like, we're the party that started the Garda Síochána. It's like, yeah, Odo Duffy's, like, that's who you're
I know.
talking. Like,
the blue shirts.
The blue
yeah,
shirts.
I know that. Like I thought you didn't want anybody to be talking about that. Seriously.
yeah.
Wild.
Let me just,
Yeah, sorry. I just got distracted because the Garda killer. This is the perfect frame.
Yeah.
Stupid idiot.
um,
I'm gonna try and take a photo of this real quick.
oh, do you know what
Give up the ghost.
Jody's doing? And it's something that really annoys me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was the head of the guards and he was head of the blue shirts who were set up to defend like early Fine Gael, as far as I know. Collins started the guards,
Okay.
but Collins wasn't in Fine Gael.
Yeah.
He was in Fine Gael. No, he wasn't even in that. He was just pro treaty. I hate when they take. Like, Fine Gael was started up like 15 years later after Collins died. You don't get to take that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, he would have hated it. It's like when Radker was like, I have a picture of Collins in my office because he's a revolutionary who understood the importance of maintaining fiscal markets.
What was that again?
And it's like,
let's look that up.
I think you're saying he fundraised, you know?
So yeah, fundraising for the IRA. We approve of that now, do we?
Yeah.
No. Revolutionaries need the confidence of the market.
They don't.
Where is this? Where is the full quote? I don't want to look at some fucking stupid video. Oh, just forget it. It kind of proves to me that even revolutionaries need the confidence of the markets. You know, kids, Shakespeare was like the Quentin Tarantino of his day.
So, I think what Ona Duffy was a founding member of Fine Gael.
Yeah.
He didn't found the Guards. Collins founded the Guards, I guess. Kevin O'Higgins was the first Garda commissioner, or Minister for Justice. But Ona Duffy was set up Fine Gael. He was the first leader of Fine Gael, though he was never elected to like a public office. And that was in 1933. So, like, when was Collins killed? 1921? Something like that?
Yeah. Why not? Let's look it up. Let's look it up. You don't know? Let's look it up.
No shame in it.
Michael Coolins was killed. I say I spelled Collins wrong. He died in 2021, funnily enough.
Vaxxed? Was he vaccinated?
By the way, did you see that Matt Crispin put up a picture of like his brain surgery?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's underneath just going, vaxxed?
Turns out he doesn't have
great
one.
Gag. Hey, come on now. He died in 1922, you fucking idiot.
So 11 years passed between Collins dying and the founding of Fine Gael.
Anytime I hear Bale na Blah now, I just think of that guy who used to be in Ryan Tubridy's band, you know, on the Late Late Show, and he did a weird history song about Bale na Blah.
No, I've never heard of that.
I think I put it on one of the episodes. But
I think of the bread in my mouth.
Blah.
What's the blah in my bale? Bale.
Yeah, Bale equals mouth, I guess, in this. This one, I'll just show you this real quick. And then back to the show as we... So this guy was the lead of the band.
Nice of him to dress up for the music video.
Just give me some truth.
This is my least favorite type of music.
I know.
Here's a tale of Bale na Blah, 100-year-old mystery. It's cooked up, but it's still raw. The strangest moment in our history. No one story matches up from the end to the start of it. All we know is Michael Collins died. Got to get to the heart of it. The paper said 200 men, but it was more like 7. It was Sonny O'Neill, Jim Carney swears, but no one remembers Jim Carney being there. Sonny was gone, says Tom Foley. I've read every book, it's still a mystery. Emmett Dalton got so many details wrong. I can't even fit them all in this song about Bale na Blah, 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 Bale na Blah, blah, blah. They say that Collins stood and fought for the first time in his
5 minutes. No
Yeah,
fucking way.
you can
That's
imagine
the-
You can imagine Simon Harris listening to this and being like, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
Hi guys, some of my recommendations for the week.
Please. I want him to do the Obama thing and be like, here's my reading list, here's my top 5 songs.
Yeah.
It's just like, but you know the way Obama would be like, here's my songs that were released in 2020 or whatever.
Yeah.
His would be like, my favorite songs, and every year it would just be like, Snow Patrol, Kings of Leon. Just like songs released like when he was 17, you know?
Yeah.
Can't beat Mr. Brightside. Remember that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Widowerly, Mr. Brightside. I read this profile of Simon Harris in the Independent, a Sunday Independent,
Yeah.
and they were really. It was so mad. They were like, Radcliffe found the job really hard, you know? It really took a toll on him, but it energizes Simon Harris. And they're just trying to make him out to be like this sort of wonk who feeds off the energy. But also like, they also try to make him out to be a bit of a lad, you know? I think there's a sense of like, people didn't like that Radcliffe was such a fitness freak, you know what I mean? Like, Radcliffe was big into the whatever, what you call that thing? Where you make all the food in one go.
Meal prep?
Meal prep. It's like, there was none of that with Harris. He went out drinking, you know? And,
a pint of stout, and then he had to get his stomach pumped.
they were trying to be like, he drank, you know, like, it was almost like he was one of those guys who was like, what did you have to drink last night? And someone would be like, I don't know, Guinness. And he'd be like, yeah, I had 5 pints of Guinness, I had 2 shots, you know. Then I had a glass of wine. And then just like more shots, you know. I think I had maybe like 6 more shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's one. And it was like, me and him were at a wedding. We were sharing the same room, which I find very funny. And they were like, and believe me, he was drinking a lot. You know, he was had a fair few pints that night. But then I woke up the next morning to see him typing away on his laptop, typing a press release. You know,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be like, you know, the rock star
Yeah.
drinking 10 pints and typing a press release next morning. Yeah.
I had 10 Bud Lights. I was in a tizzy.
And then there's a bit where it's like, one time he asked for a cigarette after a particularly contentious meeting, Fine Gael meeting. And that's like the only, he never smokes, but one time he did that. I think it was supposed to be like, you know, that's how hard he works. He's like, I need a cigarette. But he only did it once.
It's weird that they're even trying that. You know what they're trying to? They seem to be kind of going like, we can be Fianna Fáil as well, but it's all like, you know, a bunch of lads heading down the pub, and this guy's like, "Hey guys, wait up! What are we drinking tonight?" You know, and then it's like, "Ooh, a bit rich for my blood. I might have a cigarette though if somebody's got a spare one. Couldn't smoke the whole thing though." And it's just like, who do you think this is appealing to? Because everybody thinks that you're like an absolute bollocks. You know, like everybody who doesn't like go down the pub with a bunch of lads thinks that you're a loser for trying. And then the lads themselves think that you're a loser because like you just can't keep up, you know?
Yeah. Mind if I bum a ciggy?
No, I can roll my own. And then it's like 2 hours later, still like tobacco just all around his ankles. Like, it's harder than it looks, isn't it? You know?
Yeah.
He reminds me of Mark Corrigan when he tries to come to the festival.
You got a bloody suitcase on wheels. Real men don't get the earth to help carry their luggage, mate. They carry it themselves.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the other thing.
What is snake bite? Right in.
I have no
Tell
idea.
us what snake bite is.
That's what snake bite is. We'll take a guess
Tell us
here.
what cool drinks are.
One time I saw somebody at a pub order a Jaeger bomb, and then they just sipped it normally like a drink throughout the evening. And yeah, that's another one. That's another version.
I was talking to someone,
Harris.
they were like, these Ukrainian lads come into the pub, and they ordered, what were they called? Hand grenades.
Mm.
And it was like a Jaeger bomb, but there were like 2 shots. And then it was like 2 shots he sort of dropped in. And they said but it had to be served with the shots balanced in such a way. And
Right.
she was like, yeah, they were just flat out on these the whole night.
How do they manage? When you
I
say
don't know, it's
flat
just funny to be like flat out on Jaeger bombs or flat out
out.
on, what were they called? Hand grenade.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Actually, I don't have anything else to share. I was gonna say about like the news was like on our next Taoiseach, and it was like, well, it hasn't been voted in yet. And I know people will be like, yeah, but it's only a matter of time. It's like, why does it only have to be a matter of time? What? Because when they vote in the Taoiseach, it has to be Fianna Fáil and the Green Party have to vote for Simon Harris. Like, imagine like if the Green Party was like, I'm not voting for Simon Harris to be fucking Taoiseach. Like, they can't have two guys. At
Like,
least,
one of
especially in
one of
Fianna
them was-
Fáil.
One of
you
them
know?
was creme de menthe.
Oh,
And then Bailey's. And rum.
and that's hand grenade or what?
Yeah, and they're just flat out in that.
No.
I found it strange.
It is strange. But anyway,
Just
I
because
guess he
you're
is gonna be
Ukrainian
Taoiseach.
doesn't mean you have to side with them over this, you know what I mean?
You know me.
Woke scold.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on. What were you saying? Something about the Ditch podcast?
Now I've really lost my plot. No, I was just saying, like, if we had a media, so like Varadkar steps down, and then like a bunch of the media are literally like, "Come on, he did his best. Why are you
Yeah.
being so mean to him? Give him his day." And then they're like, "Anyway, look at our new exciting Taoiseach," and it's like, there's never, I haven't seen a single thing that has said, "Well, maybe he shouldn't be Taoiseach."
No,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe not only is it like, democratically bankrupt, okay, but also like logistically, if you're talking about like this coalition where everybody in it seems to hate each other, okay,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, we're gonna need you to vote for a second guy. A second fucking guy. This little drip who went uncontested, who
Yeah.
not even their own membership voted for him, okay? Like, nobody has voted for this guy at
I
all. The
know.
membership hasn't voted, the public hasn't voted, and this guy is just going to be made Taoiseach. And they're like, well, it's cute. Look at his TikToks. And sure, he's had some bumps and scrapes along the way, but we're in for a real treat with this one, I think. And it's just, there's been no
Yeah,
suggestion that this is like a complete mockery of everything, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
That's 3 Taoiseachs in 5 years. That is not usual. Already this coalition was incredibly strange, where people were like, well, what's going to happen? It's like, well, just halfway through, they're just going to hand the torch over to Varadkar. It's like,
Yeah.
so Vrad, like, what the fuck is this? Who wants this? Nobody wants this.
I
and
know.
yet now it's like the addendum's like, okay, not the thing that nobody wanted. We're also going to make you vote for fucking Simon Harris. And you think like people like Barry Cowan or any of these Fianna Fáilers who just are like, we need to move away from woke shit, and like we need to get back to bashing migrants and drinking
Yeah.
sculling pints and all this. You think that they'd be like at least held to account in some sort of way to be like, how the fuck could you vote for this absolute drip?
Well, To be honest, I think there's an element of like, remember Theresa May? She succeeded Cameron.
Yeah.
And I really got the sense that it was like they were letting her have the shit show,
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, apparently people were like begging Pascal Donahue to run. They were like, please. Like, and he was like, no.
That's a fundamental misreading of who Pascal Donahue is if you want him to be the leader
Yeah.
of the party.
And yeah, even though like 2 weeks ago he was trying to leave the party. Yeah, he. So I think there's an element of they're like, this is such a shit show that he's gonna just preside over another series of failures for Fine Gael.
I don't get it. Like,
So
they're
like,
like,
let's
if
let
you,
him have it for the while.
I know that it's like he's a sacrificial lamb. I've seen that floated around. But then what you should just do if you're like, we're going to be in opposition, call it a snap election. Call it general election.
Yeah,
Then
because
Varadkar, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But then Varadkar leads them into the election. They make the losses. Varadkar steps down, and then the next person takes over, and then you start rebuilding the party from there.
I
surely,
think they just don't want Sinn Féin to get in. They're hoping that they can claw it back over the next year.
But then that would be in the face of saying that he's a sacrificial lamb. Do you know what I mean? Because then you'd want the best candidate for the job.
Yeah, that's
you?
true. I mean, Fine Gael internal politics are so mystifying. It's like,
I know.
Maybe they do just think he's really class. I
think they do. I think that they
do.
I think that they do. I don't know what I was trying to...
Well, we did it, folks. That's the first half. Go to patreon.com/CelticLaggers to hear the Laggers' reaction to Ryan Tubridy's take on the whole thing. Then in the middle of that they get bored and read an hilarious Waterford Whispers article which teaches them all about SEO. God bless.